Hey guys, David McElwain here with Shoshone Hunt Stories. This is where we give you the tips, the tactics, also lets you get an inside look of what it is like to go to these outfitters on these hunts before you actually go. All right guys, so today I'm here with Johnathan Roberts, and I think we have a pretty good episode ahead of us, and it's something that we haven't covered yet, and that is fishing. I've really been able to dive deep into some of the fishing in America, but something I've always wanted to experience is fishing in different places around the world, and that's something that Johnathan just got back from. So today I'm going to talk to Johnathan about his Costa Rica trip that he booked with a Shoshone outfitter. So Johnathan, today I wanted to talk about some of the process of going to these places. Being a new, quote unquote international traveler, I've always wanted to experience Costa Rica, and I want to know about it from the experiences from the time that you leave the airport, wherever you flew into, and then getting to the actual outfitter and then fishing. Walk me through that process of what it's like. Imagine this is your first trip to Costa Rica. What is the process like to somebody that needs to know going over there?
Yeah, David, well, I appreciate you having me on today, and Costa Rica is one of my favorite places. I've been there several times, and it's actually really easy to get to Costa Rica. I live in Georgia, and so it's just a quick flight to Miami, and then a flight direct from Miami to San Jose, Costa Rica. And San Jose is a little bit inland, so you wind up taking a taxi or getting a rental car, and you drive about an hour and a half to get to the coast. And I like to stay in Los Sueños, and Los Sueños is a very nice development. It's got condominiums, a hotel, houses, got different tiers of the quality of the accommodations, but it's very nice. It's got restaurants, it's got a world-class marina, and you really feel safe in Los Sueños. And right beside Los Sueños is a little area called Herradura, and then 10 minutes from there is a town called Jaco, and those are quintessential coastal Costa Rica towns, and you get a lot of great culture. The food is great. The people are amazing. Many of them speak English. They welcome American tourists, and it's just a wonderful place to take a family trip or a guy's trip. And the fishing is world class. If you like to offshore fish or bill fish, I can think of no better destination. I want to tell you a little bit about two different experiences that I've had recently in Costa Rica. Just last week, we went to on the trip with my family for spring break and another friend's family. And Costa Rica is great with family because there's so many activities that appeal to everyone. So we did 2 days of offshore fishing, and we'll get to that because it was just incredible. But there were so many other things that my family enjoyed and the other family enjoyed. We went surfing one day, did surf lessons, and everybody in the group learned to surf. We went zip lining and ATV riding one day, and the zip lining is through the jungle, and you've got this. Some of the lines are as long as a half mile, and some of them are several hundred feet high. It's just incredible to see the environment through the jungle, and it's just fun zipping through the trees. The ATV riding is really fun. They allow you to go through the jungle and cross rivers and go up and down the mountain, and that culminates in this experience at this waterfall where you're literally jumping off of about a 12-foot high platform into this pool at the base of the waterfall, and just an experience that none of us will ever forget. And I'll never forget my 7-year-old daughter standing up on that ledge, and you could see the inner battle in her mind. Should I jump or should I not jump? She'd start and she'd stop. She'd start and she'd stop. And then she finally went and made that plunge and came up with the biggest smile on her face that I've ever seen, saying that was so much fun. I'll never forget that moment. And the food in Costa Rica is really good. Like seafood, very fresh, and almost every restaurant has a similar style where it's al fresco dining. They have covered a covered area, but it's open air. The temperature is usually very moderate and pleasant, and there's not a speck of dirt anywhere. They take so much pride in taking care of their facilities, and it's really an enjoyable place to be. But the reason I mainly like to go is the fishing. And I love fishing, anything from pond fishing to bill fishing, everything in between. And many people that have never experienced bill fishing say, well, I don't understand. Why would you do that? You have to release the fish. Why would you go to all that effort to release the fish? And the reason is when you're out in the ocean, miles from land, and you've got those teasers in the water and your bait's trolling, it's very peaceful. And then when that fin and bill come up behind the teaser, pandemonium breaks loose. I liken it to the same feeling when a bull elk is bugling and approaching you, and your heart starts beating so fast it's hard to even think. It's the same with bill fishing. And with Costa Rica, the bill fishing is off the charts. So in the trip that we went on just last week, we caught a dozen billfish in 2 days. My 10-year-old son caught several sailfish. We had 10 sailfish total and 2 marlin, and just incredible memories, photos, just an adventure. But every time one of those billfish would come into the spread, that feeling of excitement would repeat, and the nervousness and the elation when it winds up getting hooked, and the battle where you're so excited just to grab a camera or a phone to catch it on film, because when these fish get hooked, they put on a show better than the best Broadway performance. And the amount of energy of coming out of the water and tail walking and greyhounding, and the sailfish are the fastest fish in the ocean, and the display that they make is just incredible. Well, the marlin are the most powerful fish in the ocean, and seeing a marlin come out of the water as large as they are is just a sight to behold. So the trip that we went on, we went with my friend's family and their children, and myself and my son. So there were 4 children under the age of 14, the youngest being a couple of 10-year-olds. Just had a great time. The weather's usually very pleasant. The ocean is not very, very big or tumultuous. And we wound up running 40 miles the first day and 60 miles the second day. And everyone was comfortable. The boats that we use through our outfitter in Los Sueños are top notch, and just a very pleasant experience. And the excitement of the sailfish and marlin is second to none.
I've always wanted to experience that. Now, this is, like you said, this is your second time going to Costa Rica fishing, correct?
The 3rd time fishing, 4th time to Costa Rica. Actually, the 4th time to Costa Rica, but the 3rd time with the same outfitter.
So last year, your experience is a little bit different. Did you guys stay out overnight last time?
Yeah, we did. Last August, I went on a trip with 4 other guys, and we went out to the underwater seamounts, and it's about one's 150 miles off the coast, and the other is about 70 or 80 miles off the coast. And what an adventure! We wound up going down a day and a half before we departed, and the morning of our departure, we wound up doing some of the fun Costa Rica activities like the zip lining and the ATV riding. We met at the marina at 4:30 to depart on a 48-hour adventure. And what an adventure it was. We wound up running through the night. At the first crack of light, or even before the first crack of light, we were at the underwater seamount, which is where it's 10,000 feet deep, and the seamount comes to about 2,000 feet deep. And they have a fish attracting device perched at the top of the underwater seamount, which is much like an underwater parachute. And that creates the ecosystem for the microorganisms and the small little bait fish and the larger tuna. And the tuna is actually largely used for bait for the marlin. But I will never forget this moment. I was sleeping on the couch in the salon, and it was maybe 20 minutes before daylight, and I awakened and walked outside, and the mates were putting out the baits. They were going ahead and putting out the lines. And within about 30 seconds of the first line in the water, a marlin popped up and started approaching the teaser. The mate grabbed a pitch bait, flipped it out toward the marlin. 3 seconds later, we're hooked up on our first marlin. And that began a bite like I've never seen. By 11 a.m. that morning, we had caught a grand slam. We'd caught blue marlin, caught a black marlin, and a striped marlin. And the tally at the end of the first day was 14 marlin. And
Wow.
one marlin will make you want to go lay down and recover. And there's this great image of my friend Wesley after he fought the black marlin and got it to the boat, and he goes and sits down on the ledge right in front of the salon and just laid back like, I'm done, mission accomplished. But we wound up catching 14 the first day. And so then that night we came back into the closer underwater seamount, and I was about 70 miles out. And the second day we fished there and wound up catching 5 billfish. And the fifth one was especially important. The fifth one was a sailfish. And when it got hooked, you could see a level of seriousness in the captain and the crew's face that this was special. And we wound up getting that cat caught and released very quickly. And as soon as we touched that leader, it was like we had won the Super Bowl. The captain showed fairly little emotion until that point, and they were high-fiving and jumping up and down. We were too, because it was a super slam. We caught 4 billfish species on that trip, and culminating with the very last catch of the trip, a sailfish. So we wound up catching 16 blue marlin, a black marlin, striped marlin, and a sailfish. And to my understanding, that outfit has only done that one other time ever. And so what an incredible experience to be part of that.
Both of those trips are once in a lifetime, it feels like, for a lot of people. That's just something that most people go their whole life without as far as one day. That's amazing. So how long does an average fight last whenever you first get hooked up?
Last year, in Costa Rica, the average marlin size is, a couple 100 pounds. So that's usually the class fish that you're fighting in Costa Rica. Last year on spring break, we wound up catching a 600-pound blue marlin, and it really depends on which rod the marlin bites. So if they bite one of the 30 wide rod and reels that's meant for sailfish, that fight's considerable. We caught 2 marlin that both hit 30 wide rods last week. And it was about a 30-minute fight, and the captain was surprised we landed those. But when they bite the larger reels, about 20 to 25 minutes is expected. But sometimes it's surprising how the larger fish don't fight as well as the smaller fish. On the trip last year on spring break, we caught the 600-pound blue marlin, a sailfish, and about a 150-pound blue marlin. The smaller marlin actually put up a better fight. And so it really depends on the fish.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I wondered if the larger fish, was gets tired a little quicker. Whenever we were mountain lion hunting in Utah, JT and the outfitter said the exact same thing with cats. He said, the bigger cats, they can't run near as far. They'll retreat pretty quick. So I wonder if that's the same, kind of concept with fishing. But that's so cool. You said, what was the main species that you guys caught?
So on the trip when we went to the underwater seamounts, it was primarily blue marlin, and that was in August. And so that's a great time to go for the marlin target species. But then last week, the main species we caught was sailfish.
So talk me through the process of when you're throwing the bait out versus the teaser and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's a couple different tactics, and when on the marlin, targeting marlin at the underwater seamounts, they use a tactic called a bait and switch. So they basically have a teaser on each side of the boat that's getting trolled, and the teaser has no hooks in it. And that's a series of plastic squid of varying colors, usually green or pink or some variation of that. And those are being drug in the water. And then there's a long lure in the back middle that does have a hook in it. And so, but typically the marlin come up on either the right teaser or the left teaser. And you wind up seeing that, seeing the bill pop up or the fin. And that's when that adrenaline comes through like it's the biggest bull elk you've ever seen. And then the teasers are brought closer to the boat, and a rod is grabbed with a dead tuna, and you toss it out toward the marlin and let the slack out and get it as close to its face as you can. You have to do a lot of maneuvering. And usually, whenever that bait gets within 10 feet of that marlin, they're so aggressive, they come and they just slaughter it. And then you go free spool, you let it run for a few seconds, lock it down, and you're on for the fight of your life. And so that's typically the tactic on marlin. For the spring fishing and winter and spring fishing, for sailfish, it's a little different tactic. They use a combination of teasers and ballyhoo that have a hook already in them, and one or two lures that have a hook. And so that spread is more meant for a combination of sailfish, marlin, dorado or dolphin, and tuna. And so that's a little bit more versatile spread, so that you can catch more species on a time of year where it's more likely to catch a variety. But in the summer at the seamounts, you're after marlin.
Which one is your favorite time of the year to go?
It's hard to compare. Both experiences were completely different. The experience with my family was hard to beat, and everyone in my family said it was the best trip we've ever been on. The memories for the non-fishing activities are just second to none, and some that we'll cherish forever. But then the experience on the guys' trip for the Marlin to the seamount, it's a true adventure. You're 150 miles into the Pacific Ocean, staying on the boat 2 nights in a row. It's not always easy to sleep. It's not always pleasant in every aspect, but you feel like you are on an adventure of a lifetime. And to fight a fish that's several hundred pounds and win, and you go sit down and you know that it was a close battle and you edged it out. That's an unforgettable type of experience. But I think that they're both must for any type of fisherman, but they're different.
I imagine I know the answer to this question, but as far as taking your family on one, you would probably recommend the one you went on last week, wouldn't you?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. The day trip with the family is much better. You have the accommodations at the condominium or the hotel. It's just a little bit more comfortable than staying on the boat.
Well, I'll tell you, it really makes me want to go bill fishing. I've never been. I've always wanted to go, but it makes me want to be able to go and experience that. And honestly, some of the footage that comes out of those trips are just amazing. I would love to capture that, jumping out of the water and just experiencing how excited people are on the boat. I can't imagine the energy that's out there. And it's cool when you get to do it with your friends, but it's really cool when you get to do it with your family too. I'm jealous of your experience, and I can't wait to do that one day. So in the future, what's some things that you would tell a client going on these trips? What's just some tips that you would give a client going on these trips?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so Costa Rica has a dry season and a wet season. And so the dry season is roughly from late November through mid to late May. And we expect very little rain. In our spring break trip, we had no rain. It didn't rain a single time. A couple days it was pretty hot. Usually it's pretty temperate, but a couple days it got around 9 degrees and it was hot. In late May through the fall, it's the rainy season. And when we went on the guys' trip to the seamounts, it was in rainy season. Well, with their rainy season, it may rain for half an hour to an hour in the afternoons. Usually it's fine in the mornings and more likely to rain in the afternoon. One of my favorite moments from the trip to the seamounts, it was raining in the afternoon of the first day, and the Marlin came to the teaser. It started pouring down rain. I went and grabbed the rod, hooked the Marlin, and the captain started backing down, and the ocean had built where it was somewhat decent swells at that point. This wave crashed over the transom, got me drenched, rain pouring down, and the Marlin erupted out of the water just feet away. I'll never forget that moment in my life. So the weather is something to factor in. I would not hesitate to go during the rainy season. Everything's more lush. It's more green. There's it's kind of a nice break from the temperature when it rains a little bit, and there's enough dry periods where you're fine. It rained maybe for that hour and a half period when we were on the Seamount trip in August, and the rest of the time it was fine. And even in the rain, it was pleasant and comfortable, and made it even more of an adventure. Similarly, the day before when we were ziplining, it rained for about 30 minutes of the zipline tour, but it cooled it off, and it actually was pleasant. And surprisingly, you wind up drying out very fast. I live in coastal Georgia, and the humidity here is much, much more than it is even during the rainy season in Costa Rica. So I would definitely factor in the weather based on the time of year when you're going on a trip like that. But also a must is having enough extra time to experience the culture of Costa Rica and to have some experience with some of the tour offerings, and they're numerous. The one thing about Costa Rica that's really cool, being a tour guide is a profession, and they take it very seriously. They have to get educated to become a tour guide. They have to know about the history and about the plants and the animals. And so when you go on a tour, you also get educated on some of the ecology and some of the plant life, the animal habits, and it makes it so much of a more worthwhile experience. So absolutely plan enough extra time to experience some of the tour and the culture.
Very cool. That is some worthy advice to have right there. And it's something that, like I said, I look forward in the future, and I know you'll be going back for sure on one of those trips. It sounds like that's a trip of a lifetime for you.
Oh, it's one of my favorite places, and I can't wait to go back.
So in the future, it sounds like you have some more hunts coming up. What are your plans for this summer and fall?
Yeah, this fall, my brother and I are going on a Doll sheep hunt. It actually was a 40th birthday trip that kind of got postponed because of COVID, and then postponed again for another reason. But we are thrilled about that. That's in August, and that'll be in the Brooks Range in Alaska. So we're training with our heavy backpack on, so that we're in shape enough to go up and down the mountains on that trip. And then in January, we'll be going down to Sonora, Mexico for a mule deer hunt, and then have to plan another trip at some point back to Costa Rica to do some more bill fishing.
For sure. Sounds like a pretty good year. What's cool about what we do, Johnathan, is like we get to go test out and make sure these outfitters are up to par. We won't just be able to send clients on the best possible experience possible. And part of that is going and experiencing it for ourselves. I really have enjoyed kind of going around with you guys and seeing some of the places that we offer for clients, and I'm looking forward to it in the future. I know tentatively we're going to go film a hunt in like you said, the Sonora next year, somewhere I've always wanted to experience. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But what are some of the things you're doing to get ready for your sheep hunt?
Yes, I love to run, and I try to run year-round, 3 or 4 days a week. But the outfitter for the sheep hunt was very helpful in giving a program for being ready. And he said that we've got to be prepared to carry 70 to 80 pounds, 7 to 10 miles the first day of the hunt to get to our spike camp location. And he's given us a lot of pointers about how to get in shape. So my regimen right now is continuing to run 3 or 4 days a week, and then also to walk with a 60-pound backpack 2 to 4 miles various points of the week. And I'll try to build that up to about 70 pounds to get to 6 or 7 miles before we leave.
So another trip you're going on is on a axis deer hunt in Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And that's a family vacation that we're going to Hawaii, but a couple of the days we'll be hunting on the island of Lanai for axis deer. And it's supposed to be just an amazing experience. It's an old pineapple plantation that now has turned over to this amazing axis deer habitat. And the outfitter that we have is touted as one of the best places in the world to hunt axis deer. So that will be really fun. My son and I are going to do that night together and just take a couple days break from the family festivities to hunt axis deer.
Wow. So I'll tell you, Johnathan, I know you only have, when you walk up on your first animal of any species, there's kind of like a moment of just awe. And I remember my first elk that I walked up on, I remember, almost getting emotional because it was my first time ever being around them, and I wanted it for so long. But this past, I'd say 2 months ago, when me and Jay were hunting in Argentina, and it was the last afternoon, and he shot his axis deer. Walking up on that axis deer made me, I just had that moment of like, this is the most beautiful animal I have ever seen in my life. And I've since then, I have thought about axis deer a lot. So I'm excited to hear that you're going on that trip. And I've seen buddies go to Lanai, axis deer hunting, and that's something that I've always wanted to experience too. So have you ever killed an axis deer?
No, never have.
It's
Excited about it.
They're beautiful. Gosh, and they're quick. Are you using a bow or a rifle?
Rifle. Yeah, I remember using a rifle. And I'm excited about it because it'll be just a few weeks before the Dall sheep hunt. And so I'm hopeful to use the rifle at long range to get some practice for the Dall sheep hunt ahead of that.
Good deal. So this rifle too, I wanted to ask you about. Is this a Collier rifle that you had built?
Oh, I love my Collier rifle. I've got a 300 Win Mag, and it is such a fun gun to shoot. I got it built last year by Joe Collier, and it's such a great experience with him, showing you the different parts that you pick out and the different patterns for the stock and the different options for the action, and the whole experience with Joe is so much fun. And it culminates with you going to a shop and shooting it to determine which ammunition is the most accurate. And he's got all of the equipment to make sure that we've got the right bullet for that gun, the one it wants to shoot the best. And can't wait to use that on the axis hunt and in the Dall sheep hunt.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet Joe Collier. We've kind of been in talks and starting kind of a relationship with him with our business, and I'm looking forward to going down there and capturing some video of his shop and seeing what the process is and being able to share that with our clients. So I'm excited for that, and I might have to buy one myself once I get down there. I know I've been wanting a new one for a long time, and it sounds like a pretty good opportunity just to go ahead and bite that bullet.
Yeah, well worth it, and great experience, and it just adds one more of the layer of confidence when you're in pursuit of big game.
Johnathan, I really appreciate you hopping on me today. I was very excited. I've kind of held off from talking to you about the Costa Rica trip because I wanted to hear about it and get your reaction on the podcast and not just on the phone. And I wanted to capture that emotion, and that really came through whenever you were talking about it, just the excitement you had while you were reliving the moments with your family and everything. So I really appreciate you hopping on me today, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
That sounds great. Well, I appreciate your time, David. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, there's your hunt story of the week. I want to say thank you for listening along, but if you want to hear more about these hunts, you can book a consultation online and talk to one of our guys. But we also have a weekly newsletter that comes out with the Shoshone featured hunts, but then also the cancellation hunts, if there is any, they will be on that newsletter. So once again, I want to say thank you for listening, and I will catch you on the next hunt story.